Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. This is our weekly call that is the intersection of real estate, economic development, and business. It's an event that we've started a few months ago, and through that, we started a conversation about building a platform for Global Chamber that would facilitate deals. And so we're getting quite close to that. And so thank you, Jim Huang, for your leadership and your vision and your understanding that Global Chamber members want to do deals. The real estate community wants to do deals. And one of the places that happens is between business and the groups of folks that have property and the economic development community. And we have all of those at Global Chamber. We haven't had a really great way of pulling those people together in a platform, and we'll have that soon. And so thank you. At least now we have words and conversations and intent. And Jim, you've had the vision all along, and it looks like within the next few weeks, we're going to be taking some significant steps and to be able to facilitate what we've now all envisioned. Thank you for all your support.
Doug, thank you, and thank you for having the vision to see this and letting us start Global Chamber Real Estate, right? And I say real estate because it's not just commercial, residential, it's not just leasing, but there's many supportive parts of what we're going to be creating here. Many people here wants obviously referrals. One thing about how I know in organizations why people stay together is one, you got to build community friendships. That's first. If you have that, people will want to show up to see their friends over and over. The next part is okay, if you don't build friendships, some people don't like to interact or show up at meetings all the time. We're all busy. We all know that. You got to get referrals or deals or knowledge, right? You got to get some deals or knowledge because that does help in one way to equate to your business. So we are excited to start soon, just like how Global Chamber is starting Globy. But I know with RESAS, this tool for Global Chamber, how we roll it out will allow us to now help people organize communication with each other, education, promote it earlier, but now send referrals within the commercial residential communities, any type of real estate or service. But also, we're going to start building education. Like you said, Doug, one big thing about Global Chamber, and the numbers keep growing 605 metros. That is a lot of countries and cities and areas around the world. Most people do not know what's going on, like Paula, and I'm sure Velma, right? You live in different parts. As much as Doug, sometimes us Americans think everything is in the US, not everything is in the US. And believe it or not, the conversation I know with Scott Cook, we have discussions where actually businesses are jumping outside, not in America. I have conversations in Asia, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and a lot of times they say, well, until America calms down a bit, we're going to go elsewhere. Right? They're going elsewhere. Sometimes they don't even go to Canada or Mexico, but a lot of times they go from Asia to Europe, Middle East to Asia, Europe. It does go around to Latin America. So Global Chamber is going to now facilitate this economic development knowledge, right? What's going on, archiving it, a place that you can go find the research of what is going on in certain areas, what communities, who's there, so you could now connect with people. And the biggest thing is really sending referrals as we build the database, add more people, and I'm sure Globy has it in there, is step by step. One, increasing the membership, helping people really know about each other and the countries and the cities. What are the opportunities? And the next is connecting each one of us in real estate deals, development deals, supply chain deals, construction development deals. And this is the big thing I know, Doug, that with the real estate part, like we said, it touches every part of what Global Chamber does and anything. If you occupy a building, if you use remote working, if you buy something from Amazon or any other shipping company, it's all real estate, right? You need a place to redistribute, work, house, even now AI, what do you call it? The Gosh, I always forgot that. Scott, what is that that everyone's building now? It's those databases. Gosh, Jeff just
Oh, the
said it.
server centers, the data centers.
Data, yeah, data centers, right? And that takes a lot of energy, which I have a conversation with Rick Buss on in Phoenix. It's all energy, it's all power. How do they get it? So having these conversations that not everyone is on meetings 24/7 over and over around the world, Global Chamber will allow you to really plug in and find out and then share and pass information. But a lot of give, this time since it's a smaller group. Vilma, do you want to introduce yourself to us? Kind of give us a couple words and maybe share with what you would like to get out of Global Chamber Real Estate.
Thank you so much, James. Good morning. Yes, I am a real estate broker in the US in two different states, Florida and North Carolina. And also internationally, I have been doing real estate and connections with Europe, Costa Blanca, Alicante. And I have been trying to work with Portugal as well. One common thread I found in every one of my connections, either local or international, people look for lifestyle, people look for safety net, people look for what's in there for me, for my family, for my well-being. And even in the US, as you mentioned earlier, I do real estate in two different states, I mentioned before. We are in two different worlds, completely two different worlds. And that's my personal experience doing this job in the US. So even in the US, we don't even speak the same language and have the same rules as far as real estate negotiations. Global is definitely the new connectiveness of the world. We need to think that we are a global village. We are not local anymore. Um, I am enjoying this group. I hope to contribute. And thank you so much for doing what you do, James, to make us be more connected globally.
Velma, thank you. It's our pleasure. And as they grow it with tech and community, because everyone can't show up every week, you know what I mean? It's very hard. But now there's a way for us to do business all the time, 24/7. And that's the power of business, right? It doesn't sleep. Money doesn't sleep, especially if you want to make it. Paula, if you don't mind sharing, since Vilma called you out. So if you don't mind sharing a long time, I know Global Chamber member.
And I think there's also a little bit of a story you wanted to tell about MIPIM too. Congratulations on your visit.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Thank you, James. Yes, I totally agree with Vilma. And of course, you all know that the world is totally global. It's that global village that Doug saw a lot of years ago. And real estate is not an exception. It's actually is one of the big motors of that trend, because real estate is really global, as we all know, and it crosses all sectors of human activity, let's say. And what I see is that real estate and local players are increasingly stepping into global business because it's inevitable. It's the way it goes. Either for business sectors, commercial real estate, either for residential. And residential is right ahead of that trend, because even Portugal, as an European South country, is a global destination for everyone in the world. Yes, I'm looking to work with Vilma one of these days. Let's hope. We are going to do it. It's a matter of time. I would like to thank and I appreciate the work of Global Chamber and James Wang included, because they are bringing the universe to members. And about MIPIM. MIPIM, it was my first MIPIM experience. Also, I knew about it for many years. I didn't value that so much, and now I see. So I will be at MIPIM for the next 20 or 30 years, I think. So it's a global gathering where everyone that matters in real estate, global business is. So it's a very good place to network in person, which is a very good thing. All we agree with that. To get valuable contacts and to develop businesses. I only recommend anyone working in real estate, wherever the world that person is, to try MIPIM because you will surrender, as I did. So this said, physical interaction is wonderful. It delivers, but it doesn't take importance to networking meetings with Zoom, with this type of global networks like Global Chamber, because I think I have a feeling that their Global Chamber, as an example of internet networking, is motor to personal connections and is a very good way to improve them, to start them, I like to be in Global Chamber. Also, I'm not very participative in the past 3 months, I guess, but I think it's a very, 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 very valuable initiative, and I won't let it go from my life, I think.
Thank you, Paula. Scott, you want to catch up and share a bit?
Sure. I'll do my best at 7 a.m. Hey, everyone. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, Jim and I work together on the Renaissance platform, which is huge, and another benefit, that the Global Chamber brings to that group as well, and all the things that Jim's doing to interconnect everyone. So on the Renaissance platform, which you've heard about, I work over there with James and that team, and then I'm also in San Diego and LA. I do multifamily brokerage. I broker property management companies as a business, specifically. That's the only real business brokerage I do. Otherwise, I refer it over to Jim, who has his team as well on that side. So that's what I do in San Diego and LA. I will say I had a discussion yesterday, James, actually with Caesar. We talked about how interesting it is that the United States, okay, we call it the United States, but really it's interesting now in that the states are so different in their taxation and benefits. They're not obviously independent countries, but they're very interesting in the decisions that people make when the foreign capital comes in or goes out. It's very interesting how, I mean, you see it play out in New York and Florida, right? California, Florida, Texas. Very interesting, I think, and I think this is why Global Chamber is so valuable because, myself, well, I'll speak for myself, I know the US, I know my region, right? I mean, we have to be experts in something. I can't be an expert so globally and know experts globally. I know James, and James knows everybody, so that makes it easy for me. But Global Chamber in general does bring all of that together. So I appreciate that and being a part of this group for that aspect because I get to hear and learn so much. And I mean, I would never have seen you or met you, Paula. So it's amazing that we can connect this way and we have resources. So that's what I do. But I really appreciate Global Chamber for what it does. And I think it's going to be very interesting going forward and much more critical for all of us to connect this way.
And Scott, one quick thing. I know you do also property management. How much property management do you see internationally with international clients? And sometimes they're not there to manage or see property in SoCal.
Yeah, in SoCal, it's interesting. We're seeing less money coming in to SoCal and going to Texas and Florida. to a point where I should get my license in one of those states and, and start transacting because I can move them out of the place I'm in into the place they're going, it seems like. So yeah, as far as property management goes, it's interesting for me as I talk to people through IREM, Institute of Real Estate Management. They're very strong in so many countries. So it's really interesting to connect with those chapters in the other countries as well and learn about what they're doing. We have referrals back and forth in country. So yeah, on the property management side, again, it really goes back to educating our clients on the advantages. And that's where I need global people, right? And these global connections, because if there's money coming in from other countries that want to place here, I don't have all the tax advantages. I don't know all the things that happen in their country to this country and how the taxes are done. That's way above my level. So as far as that goes, yeah, look, the property management side, asset management, as you know, we're the hub of it. I mean, I do brokerage too, but I cut my teeth on property asset management back in the day. So I still have a partner in a management company. So yeah, I think having solid management in the States, I'm in San Diego and LA, so always happy to help anybody with management of all the types in those two areas. But otherwise, yeah, I think you've got to have those referrals and resources to be able to obviously, you've got to have a place to place the clients that are remote comfortably in a city with a management company because not only being the distance, also other countries, they've got to have that assurance their assets are being taken care of and performing the way they want to towards that ultimate disposition goal. So I'm always here in those areas, and if anybody needs referrals in other parts of the country or anything, just let me know. I'm always happy to help.
Thanks, Scott. And please put your information in for those that don't know each other to connect with each other. That's what's always important. Always want to remind. And David Young, David, I know with you, with another champion of CCIM, right? A global gladiator. David, do you mind sharing and speaking? Because I know you are also part of a very massive network, but you're part of a lot of alumni and communities for what you do. If you don't mind, David, for those that don't know you, to share your story and your background.
Um, Good morning, everybody. My name is David Hyun, Hyun. Uh, if you're looking at my face, I accidentally tripped and fell, so I did a good job on banging up my left eye. But what I want to talk about is why I am a part of. I just joined Global Chamber about 5 months ago, and I was very impressed with the quality of people and the quality of leadership within the group of Global Chamber LA chapter. I'm a licensed architect. I went to undergraduate school at USC in architecture, graduated, went on to MIT, graduated with a master's in architecture. And uh, after I graduated, I ran into a very interesting situation where I met developers and contractors, and they talked to me and they said, "Well, David, congratulations. We think you're stupid." And I was highly offended at that time. I said, "How dare you call an MIT alumni stupid?" And they said, "Well, do you know how to design a development project that can meet a budget?" I said, "No, I never understood that. I was never taught that." Uh, are you aware, David, that 90% of all your drawings end up at the trash can because we can't afford to build it? And because my dad's an architect, I was very aware of the problem architects had to try to design a very attractive building, but without constraints of a budget. Most of the designs were unfeasible. That led me eventually to go back to school to become a financial architect and graduate with an MBA degree from USC Marshall School of Business. And I eventually was asked to teach FBE 565. It stands for Finance Business Economics, a class changed from urban land use to a class entitled Real Estate Development Strategy and Financing, which was the feasibility of how to take a raw piece of dirt and undergo a rigorous analysis from zoning, legal constraints, construction costs, marketing costs, cash flow analysis to do a 5 and a 10-year cash flow pre-tax, after-tax, determine what is the internal rate of return on the capital invested. Now, the reason why I became quite interested in this is because I had seen many, many architects at the end of 30, 40-year career ended up penniless. And I said, that's a real tragedy for architects to devote all of their love and attention in their career to designing beautiful buildings, but at the end of 40 to 50 years, they retain no ownership asset in any kind. They had no financial training. And so their net worth at the end of 40 to 50 years is essentially zero. Now, developers, on the other hand, all over the United States, learn how to create real estate and manage it. Now, this gentleman, Scott Cook, I'm going to eventually get to know him because he's the secret sauce to making real estate grow in value. It's intensive property management that allows a piece of real estate over time to increase the rent slowly but surely with a percentage rent increase, a CPI rent increase, whatever you call it. You have to manage real estate like you manage a teenage kid. You don't let a teenage kid just go all over the place. You send them to elementary school, junior high school, and college. It's a managed process. And likewise, the reason why Global Chamber is so attractive, it gives everybody the opportunity to take their capital, which if it's invested in a bank and earning 3 to 4%, is pathetic. If it's invested in a high quality growth property in Portugal, it could easily earn a rate of return, internal rate of return of around 15 to 18%. Okay. Getting to know people who are competent in real estate or in any profession is absolutely necessary. Like, for instance, I don't want any of my properties to be managed by anybody, but that little designation, CPM, that means he's undergone the training, the requirements to be a competent property manager. Just like I don't have my CCIM after my name, but it tells the world that I've undergone a rigorous training program to get that CCIM designation, 4 years, a lot of money, but it tells, and a portfolio, a proven portfolio of 32.6 million and more. I'm a competent commercial broker. I don't do anything else. I just focus on being a competent commercial broker. But I do want to commend two people that have influenced me since I met them. One is Doug Brunke. I think what he's accomplished is just absolutely outstanding to create an organization, a nonprofit organization that has expanded worldwide to bring in the leaders worldwide to share their ideas, their competency, and their initiatives, whether it's in Latvia, Slovenia, Southern California, you name it. There's multiple opportunities, but those opportunities have to be managed and initiated by competent personal people. I have no problem in investing in Portugal now that I know Paula Macedo. Okay. I don't know how to speak Portuguese, but the Portuguese people are very adventurous people. My mother was born on the island of Maui, Hawaii. Guess what? There's a whole bunch of people from Portugal that inhabited the island of Maui, Hawaii, that are Portuguese. Okay, they have a lot of initiative. They know how to make things happen. Just like James Huang, I would have no problem in advising my clients if he has a property listed for sale. I would recommend my investors, once they do a comprehensive review of that property based on there's a whole bunch of ways to evaluate a piece of real estate, but it's very similar to evaluating how you evaluate a person. What I give you an example. I've taken the initiative to introduce uh, the University Club of Pasadena as a venue for one of our next events in June or July. There's two rooms that can hold that event. One is a basement room, one is the main hall room. Sarita looked at the lower basement room and she basically said, nada, this doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for our global chamber. So I said, well, let's go take a look at the larger banquet room. She fell in love with that banquet room. Now, that banquet room can hold 200 people, but it has the charisma, it has the magic, it has the romance. I call it romance of real estate. She fell in love with that room. Now, that room, she says, can I get this one for the same price as I got the basement? She said, the catering manager said, no, it's going to cost an additional $1,000. I turned to Sarita and I said, listen, we're going to get that $1,000 raised. I'm going to find two sponsors to kick in $500 each. Guess what? She says, okay, that sounds good. Now, I sent her an email text saying, guess what? You have your first sponsor. He's going to contribute $500. His name happens to be David Hyun. Okay, I'm going to find another global gladiator. By the way, the reason why I got the name gladiator is my whole career in sales changed 14 years ago when I went 2 years without a single sale. I found out that I was terrified of being rejected by anybody, being by a property owner. But I said, after being a failure for 2 years, I said, you're pathetic, David. You need to get out of sales. You're not suited for sales. I said, okay, if I'm not suited for sales, what does it take to be competent in sales? I said, I have no idea, but why don't you go to your DVD library and get that movie you admire called Gladiator by Russell Crowe. It came out in the year 2000. I watched that 10 times. I no longer went to work as a real estate agent broker. I went to work as nothing more than a Roman gladiator like Russell Crowe, willing to fight to the death to live one more day. That attitude of courage, of determination, perseverance, and the courage to take on any challenge allowed me to get a portfolio sale 2.5 years later and close it for 32.6 million at a 2% listing side fee. I made a modest about $700,000, but I had to pay off three $50,000 loans. So I had the courage to borrow three $50,000 loans, and those loans had to be paid off. Then I learned how to be a generous contributor. I had people that wanted to know me call the Internal Revenue Service, the state franchise tax board in Sacramento. So I made my generous donations to the Internal Revenue Service, the franchise tax board, my own company, and I ended up with a modest amount, okay? But boy, oh boy, did I learn courage. Did I learn how to analyze real estate, the way investors look at real estate, not as the way a salesperson, investors. Global Chamber has the ability to inspire. That's the word, inspire its members to what I would call greatness. Like, give you an example. I don't know what James Huang's revenue stream is, but if let's say it's 1 million annually, James has so much potential, untapped potential. He's capable of earning 10 million a year. Okay, not just a million, 10 million. Doug Brunkett, whatever his income is, multiplied by 10, that's his real potential. The same with Paula Macedo. You take your income and multiply by 10. Why? Because I found out that the human species has a brain with a conservative governor on it, and it basically says, "Oh, yeah, that's too risky. That's too risky. Don't do that." That is sheer nonsense. You need to have the courage to jump out of an airplane with no parachute. Once you do that, you'll figure out a way to land safely.
David, I want to bring Doug into this because Doug, you know what? David has a very good point about we're not leveraging and maximizing. I think this is why we're adding tech. But David, you know it's the people, right? At CCIM, you've been in so many circles, but you always share, besides maybe SC and other schools that you do like and do enjoy. But CCIM, I know you're very passionate about. And you can see with Global Chamber when you join it, it's very just, I don't want to, you always use the word infectious, but it's just, you feel a part of something very special. You want to contribute and be a part of it. So Doug, maybe you could share because what you built, right? I always say technology is great, AI is even great, but you don't trust it, right? You don't have that community. Can you share a little your vision in this growth? Because this is what really matters, and it will matter more as AI and technology and fake AI, marketing gets out there, and they can even
Okay,
spoof you. So,
let me address that. Right now, I'm in the early stages of taking a class, being promoted by CCIM Institute, a class on artificial intelligence. Now, I was reluctant to get involved with artificial intelligence, but what I'm learning is that the data centers and also the power of massive, massive high-speed computers are able to review the data surrounding a particular subject matter, compress it, and make it available for you um, in a usable fashion. Now, I am in many ways I'm I am not very a strong proponent of artificial intelligence. I am a strong proponent of human intelligence. Now, to get into Global Chamber, LA chapter, you have to be a human being. You can't be an artificial computer presenting yourself as a robot, okay? Now, I have certain values which uh, uh, I have learned over time to go from in 2012, I had a net worth of zero. And I was in a very, very difficult situation financially with a net worth of zero. Uh, my bank had given me a notice that in 6 months my home in Arcadia was going to be foreclosed on because I was 12 months in arrears on my mortgage payment. On the other hand, they told me that they wanted to help me restructure my loan and refinance, and so they were giving me what is called um, we have a term in real estate. We call it mondo fufu. Mondo fufu in the real world stands for magnificent bullshit. Excuse my French. Uh, I learned the laws and governing California, and I was able to find a legal way to stop them from foreclosing on my home. But providentially, uh, in uh, in June of 2012, which is about 13 years ago, my remaining parent, my father passed away, and uh, I was told that my father's estate was worth only so much money by my brother, by a real estate attorney. And I said, pure bullshit. I said, I'm going to find out what it's really worth. Instead of being emasculated at 23 million, I did my own uh, broker's price opinion and found out the properties were worth 48 to 52 million. I brought the entity that owned that all cash offer from a syndicator worth 300 million. an offer for 48 million all cash. Leaders learn how to take on challenges, just like Russell Crowe on the floor of the Roman Colosseum jumped on a horse, got a sword, and went into battle and knocked out all 3 or 4 chariots. Today's real world that we live in many ways, is nothing more than a resurgence of the days of Rome, where gladiators had to fight to live, and the people in charge had the right to say thumbs up or thumbs down. If they said thumbs down, you were a dead duck. If it was thumbs up, you got to live another day. That's the real world today. What I want to do is share with you a skit, uh, a way that I dealt with adversity. Once you understand, like Paula Macedo, if you watch Wonder Woman, or Vilma Lopez, if you watch Wonder Woman, uh, Gal Gadot from Israel portraying Wonder Woman, your whole attitude of confidence will change from, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, to I'll get the job done. Doug Brunke is not a wimp. He's not someone that will fall off his chair and run in the other direction. Doug Brunke will meet the challenge head on. That's what I admire about Doug. That's what I'm going to find out about Scott Cook. He's a warrior, okay? That's why I like Global Chamber, Paula Macedo. She is a Wonder Woman. She's a fighter. If she's willing to get up and talk the way she did, I can tell that she takes the initiative to get the job done with no excuses. James Huang also is a gentleman who will get the job with no excuses. That's why I have no problem in referring business to James Huang, okay? I am thankful that Doug Brunke created Global Chamber and it's grown all over the world, so we have a worldwide audience. I have taught at USA
David,
graduate.
let me give Doug a chance to share, because I know he has all these conversations like you and wisdom. So Doug, do you mind just sharing? Because you have multiple conversations in multiple meetings. Can you kind of draw a big picture, as David was kind of sharing his experience with AI, of the big picture of what you see going on, not just US, but around the world, and what are some takeaways that we need to prepare for, we need to do, since you have so many conversations and meetings?
The challenge of creating trust to be able to do business together has always been with us. It's certainly, I've got a long career, many decades, and the world was less dangerous decades ago. It's become trickier. AI and figuring out who's real, and even when you find someone that's real, are they someone that you can trust, to especially in times that get the challenging. And so the platform that we're creating is a way of creating that trust to be able to make the connections that are going to be required in the next phase of doing business, whether it's exporting, whether it's importing, whether it's doing any sort of trade, including tourism. And certainly from a real estate perspective, it's very important that you have some knowledge of the people you're dealing with, that you know that they're real, you know their background, you know that what you're reading about them is real, and that the relationships move forward. It's really important, we think, to not just monetize transactions, but to monetize relationships. And so, Jim, your vision that you've shared and that we're now implementing to create a technology platform helps facilitate that, so that more and more people will be able to leverage and monetize the relationships that we have moving forward. Not, I mean, transactions and deals are critically important, and that's a key part of the value going forward. But on a day-to-day basis, transactions will happen. But what we want to have happen through the platform and through this forum and through other forums is for our relationships to continue to grow. When you've done one deal, continue to do deals, bring more people in. Jim, your network is a great testimony to that, that you know so many people. When you do one transaction, then the next one involves other people. And that's what we're building at Global Chamber. And you understood that from the beginning. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's like many of us here, we volunteer, right? But it's like, you know, Maslow's law, you need to survive. You need to pay the bills. We all know that. You don't pay the bills, as David says, getting foreclosed on, all this, very stressful. Hiring attorneys are doing all this extra work, right? The 9 to 5 is what everyone needs to do. I will say that. But then the 5 to 9 is where relationships, you volunteer, you give back, you help out. A lot of times those are passion projects. Nowadays, unfortunately, you need to put a side hustle together, right? Because your corporate career, it's very scary out there. You may not have the job or not. Back then I would say those that are a little older, probably Doug, you and David, you had some corporate pension guarantees, right? It was almost a stigma to lay people off. Now, if you don't make quarterly earnings, they're laying everyone off, right? They don't care. It's not the passion of your company that my dad and others would say, I've been there for 30 years plus. It's now, oh, I don't make quarterly earnings. Everyone lays it off. Stock goes up. So the 5 to 9 now after work used to be given back, passion projects. Now it's, oh my gosh, I need to get another job. I need to work on a side hustle. I need to do social media to just stay afloat. And Doug, this is where with Global Chamber, the vision, and I'm a big proponent just having conversations. Maslow's law, we got to help each other make money. We got to help each other make remote money that we're not stuck in a certain city that may be high cost or country. We create this passive income and ability to connect around the world, Global Chamber. So one day, whatever you feel like you want to stop or the number hits your cash flow where you can stop, Portugal is probably one of the top cities, Paula. Business eventually will come to you, but I want this real estate to share residential, not just economic development for the big, we're going to develop, we're going to make hotels, we're going to move supply chains to, Paula, you know what? I'm tired of living in this high tax, high expense country. I got US dollars. I'll just use the US. I got US strong dollars. What does it look like if I have a pension, passive income, maybe make $10,000 a month US, and I want to go to Portugal? What does that look like? So Doug, this is the power of what is going to happen is we build ways to free ourselves from the 9 to 5. So we're not tethered to the city. That's what kills people. Tethered to the city, that's expensive.
I love that. And that's always been, I think, what's driven me, geography, from the standpoint of I never felt like I really belonged in one area. And I didn't start to realize that until I progressed in life. But when I went to Japan and lived there, it's very hard to become Japanese. You can't really, as a foreigner, as a gaijin, become Japanese. And so that fit me very well. I respect and love the culture, but I was never going to be one of them. And there I was from New York, and I'd been to college in Utah, and I ended up living in Texas, and I've been to 49 states and lived in 8 of them, lived in Singapore, lived in Japan. Who am I? I'm Polish German originally. Can't we live wherever we want to live? And for me, I want to live near my grandson, which is an amazing thing. And can't we develop the trust network wherever we live? It shouldn't matter where we live. It shouldn't matter that we have to go have a cup of coffee with someone in our neighborhood to do business with them. There are other ways of developing trust. to Jim's credit, he understands that you still need to get out. You need to get out into the markets and meet people personally. But that old style, maybe the old Chamber of Commerce model, where you go to these big things and you network and you spend a lot of time sorting through haystacks looking for needles, and then you go have coffee with all of these different people. Oh my God, that is so slow and so antiquated. Jim, we're going to do better, aren't we?
We definitely are, because one, Doug, what you built is trust, friendship, compassion with each other. The next part is we build infrastructure, tech. We got to use tech. I mean, David said it, everyone says it, but it's not trust, it's tech. Doug, with the people and the tech and trust, helping people create, and this is the kind of the vision and step by step. Get away from the 9 to 5 job, but make it virtual. Make it that you're not tethered to some people, Los Angeles or New York or, in Lisbon, but there's different dollars. And this is what, Paula, with your help and others, I want to start showing why do we go to Portugal? What's the difference? But if we start using, Doug, our technology, I hate to say, once we retire, if you can't live in the US with healthcare, housing, the main necessities, it's again, Maslow's law, you got to survive. If you only have, when you retire, 2, 3, 4, 10, 5, 10,000, whatever the dollar amount is, maybe you're in the States, in the US, maybe you're in Canada, probably in Portugal, maybe in South America, maybe in the Philippines. And I'm having these conversations where, Doug, if we show in real estate, and this is, Paul, how it helps, not the big thing, but moving and helping with a friend and your infrastructure, people are going to move. In the next 10, 20 years, it's going to be a boom, like how blue states and red states. We're seeing this now. High taxation, harder cost of business to less easier, right? Everyone's talking about moving to Texas, moving to Florida from the blue ones. It's also going to happen in the bigger countries. The more modern countries are going to leave and go somewhere else where you can live a good life. Because now with AI, David, you're saying we can't even get a job to do some work to we're 80. There's not going to be any jobs. So we need to do this now. And Global Changer, because we're compassionate about people, we want to give people freedom and a way to know and not be afraid, because that's the biggest fear. No knowledge and fear. I don't want to move away from America. I don't want to move from London. I don't want to move from here because you're afraid you have no infrastructure. We have it here at Global Chamber. So, Doug, that's the big picture, because it is humanity. Yes, like mentor and stuff. We're going to do some big picture items, building housing around the world, building this, doing this. That's great. But what about the common people? What about the people that just need to survive? We've been fortunate, many of us. And sometimes we're fortunate about where we were born. Other people are not that lucky. And I think many of us here in Global Chamber, I feel the common thread of compassion that we want to give back and help out. But how can we do it organized? So, Doug, thank you. I care about people. I want to see succeed. I do feel blessed by, maybe it's good energy, right? When you're positive, helpful, and you just keep going, good things happen to those people, right? They call it luck, right? I'm always there. David, you're always there. Paula, you're always there. Scott, Doug, right? We're always showing up. And that opportunity to show up sometimes creates that one opportunity you need. But if we can do this as a group, Doug, with Global Chamber and the right tech and the right vision, it is those step by step, freeing yourself from the 9 to 5, building and stacking whatever you can do, freeing yourself, whether you stay in the States, in the US, or whether you move abroad, and then you have a good life too. We know we never retire. We give back to Global Chamber. Maybe there's other passion projects where we're comfortable, we can give back and help the world, help other people. So anyway, that's kind of my big vision step. And that's why in every organization, it's the same methodology. Because if we work all together with the top 5 or 10%, right? Those are the early adopters, finding the right passion in people like Scott, like Paul, right? David, I just know who they are now. And we just keep going, right? That are not selfish, greedy people. And let's get a better life so you don't have to work to your 80 and 90 because you just need to not be homeless and live in your car. It's just, Doug, I hate to keep saying this. I just have so many conversations, and I never share anyone's dirty laundry and the sadness that I hear from people. But I have compassion and empathy. So when I hear these things, it makes me feel very sad that what can we do, or I do, but then we do as a group. So anyway, Doug and David, Paula, Scott, I know we all think the same because I have conversations with you all, but Doug, do you want to close up? Because this one I think that is the emphasis or thesis and the culture of Global Chamber. So
No, I appreciate you articulating that. I think for me at least brings it all together. Originally, the dream was to help exporters. That was really my focus with Global Chamber. But the world has changed dramatically in the last 11 years. And you bring up really great points around what AI and technology are doing to the job market, accelerating that need for side hustle and having the flexibility through technology to live in different places and to have different taxation levels, and countries recognize that they want to attract people for economic development reasons. And so I think, Jim, it goes back to the justification for that triangle of economic development, business, and commercial real estate, and real estate in general. That is where a lot of this activity, maybe most of this activity, is going to happen, and we're uniquely positioned. And so let's continue to move forward. Thank you all for your support. And I think the next years, the next months, the next weeks, the next days, and the next hours will be very interesting. Thank you.
thank you, everyone. Have a great day, great week. Bye-bye.
Well, I just want to say thank you. And it was a pretty emotional session today with you guys. So I am not a tech person. I struggle with that. But know that Doug and James know that I am available to help with that. Those ideas that you're having to create a strong structural helping network.
Mhm.
Let's do that.
What do you think I can do? Please just shout it out.
Thank you, Paula.
We will definitely do that, Paula. Thank you. The next few weeks are going to be really critical in this transition.
Well,
I'll reach out to you.
Great to hear, Doug. If you need anything, okay.
The next meeting actually is starting for Global Chamber. I think we have two more. One is the women's meeting that's happening right now, and then there's a lady, Masami Sato. I should have mentioned her earlier. Oh my God, what an amazing woman who's speaking in a few hours, 8 a.m. Tokyo time and 4 p.m. Pacific time. She's created something called B1G1, buy one, get one. I think that's what it stands for. It's a micro donation concept that she's grown around the world over the last 20 years. It's really extraordinary. Bad timing for you today, Paula, to do it. But if you can't watch it, definitely watch the recording, because she's got a vision, and what she's been able to implement in this is fantastic. We already have it on the Global Chamber website, and we just need to figure out how to roll it out. But you'll see it more through Global Chamber, that having a purpose and having people with a purpose and connecting those purposes to doing good in the world and having impact in the world is a key part of all of this as well. It's made more complicated, but also easier through technology. And so they've done a great job in pulling that together, and they're a great partner for us. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Have
Take
a great
care.
day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, James. See you.